Hello, what's going on, everyone? Thank you so much for joining me here today on Narcissism 101 Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. All right, so before we get into what we're going to talk about, as usual, if you want a one-on-one session, please email me at paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com. If you want to talk, if you want to vent, if you want to talk about your situation, if you just want some advice and you're trying to figure out whether the person you're dealing with is a narcissist, please feel free to send a text to that number and just let me know if you do want to call. Just let me know that it's you and you want to talk about your narcissistic experience and that you need some help. I'd be more than happy to give you the help that you need. Okay, so what we are going to talk about today without further ado is unfinished business. Unfinished business. The narcissist, they have a lot of unfinished business with a lot of people. The narcissist, you have to remember, they thrive off of chaos, confusion, and control. These are things that I mention in each and every one of my videos that I've made up until this point. And wow, I just realized that I've made now 106 videos. I'm on the 107th video now. So thank you so much, everyone, for really taking the time to watch the content, to support the channel. Thank you so much for everybody that supports the Narcissism 101 Cracking the Code. I really appreciate you guys watching my videos and paying it forward to everybody else you know and helping out other people. And for all the people I help, thank you so much for being here. But I like to mention in all of my videos, narcissists thrive off of chaos, confusion, and control. Narcissists, they need chaos. They need chaos to be able to live, essentially. Because creating chaos, it gives the narcissist supply. And what is supply for those who are new to the channel? And if you're new, thank you so much for being here. Supply is anything. Supply is everything to the narcissist. So to you, everything is different, right? So for example, your job is your job, right? And your job, you go there to work and make a living and make money. Your home is a place where you live, right? It's where you place your roots. It's where you can let your hair down and do whatever you want, etc., etc. I don't know, cooking, baking, you do all these things because you need them to survive, right? Well, the narcissist doesn't look at things this way. Narcissists look at all these things as energy sources. The narcissist looks at you as a human being as an energy source, right? That's how the narcissist looks at you. They don't look at you as just a human being, just somebody who lives and someone who breathes and does all these things. Narcissists look at you for what they can take from you, and they want to take your energy. They want to take everything that makes you you, right? Because narcissists, they don't have any sense of purpose. They don't have a soul like me and you, right? They like me and you, we have a soul. We feel for people. At least that's what I hope. If you're an empath watching my video, and if you're a narcissist, it's best if you don't watch my videos, please. But anyways, what I'm saying here is that narcissists don't look at things as they are. Narcissists look at things as how they can take from people, right? And so narcissists, having said that, narcissists, they have a lot of unfinished business with people, whether that's people that they've stolen money from, whether that's people they've lied to, whether that's people that they've cheated, or whether that's people that they've cheated on. They had multiple relationships and they've had multiple marriages, right? And when I say unfinished business, the reason why I say that is because narcissists, when it comes down to let's say that they were married to someone before, they ended that marriage just like that, right? And they discarded that person without any notice, right? And that person is still scratching their head and they're trying to figure out how the narcissist and why the narcissist did that to them. And the truth is, and you have to remember with narcissists cannot give closure. They will not tell you exactly why they discarded you or why they ended that relationship. And it's because it would be too painful for them, because they have to think of all the many other things that they did to you, all the many ways they lied to you, all the many things that they stole from you. That includes your money. Narcissists love money, and they love your money more than they love their money, right? And so because of that, they have to think about all the money that they stole from you, all the cheating that they did behind your back, all the things that they did without you knowing it under your nose, whether they went to your family and they were telling lies about they were telling lies to your family, things that weren't even true. Because you have to remember, narcissists are pathological liars, and they lie like they lying is in their nature. They just lie every single day. They lie about even the smallest things that don't even require you to lie. Right? When you ask them a question about something and you're trying to, get an answer from them, they won't answer you directly. And that's your covert narcissist. Covert narcissists, they hate answering directly, and they do this because they don't want to have to be held accountable. They believe that they can just do whatever they want and there will be no repercussions for anything that they do. So narcissists, the reason why they have unfinished business again is because they go around destroying many people's lives, and they do it without you knowing it too. That's the thing about narcissists. They like to do things without people knowing. And they do this because they want to appear as if that they have control over their lives. They want to control multiple people at any one time. And it's not just romantic. It's not just a spouse or a boyfriend or a girlfriend. It's not like that. It's like they do this to their parents. They do this to their siblings. They do this to their friends. They do this to their coworkers on the job. They do this to their bosses. Narcissists are master manipulators. And master manipulators, they fly under the radar. They do these things under the radar because that's what narcissists do. Because they're working for the devil full time. I tell people on when I make comments and things like that on other videos and things like that, what I say is, narcissists, they master manipulate. It's a full-time job for them. They do this full time, all the time. If they're asleep, if they appear as though they're sleeping, they're not actually sleeping. And I mentioned this on one of my other videos. They are not actually sleeping. What they're doing when their eyes are closed and they're laying their head on the bed, what they're actually doing is they're actually thinking about who the next person is they're going to manipulate. They're thinking of the fact that they're going to lie to that person at work tomorrow, or they're going to lie to that person, and claim that they're single when they're actually married, and they're actually lying to you because you're right next to them, lying next to them. They're thinking of they're always plotting and they're always planning. You, on the other hand, you don't plot. You just plan, how your life is gonna go, whether you're gonna get that degree, whether you're gonna go to school, whether you're gonna get married someday or have kids someday. You have a plan, some sort of plan. And if that plan doesn't work out, well, then you create something else, right? But the narcissists, they're not planning the same way you plan. See, narcissists, they plan, but they're also plotting, right? And when you plot against someone or something, what you're essentially doing is you're planning to destroy that person's life. You're plotting somebody's demise, right? You're plotting to destroy something or someone, right? So, you have to understand that narcissists, they have a lot of unfinished business with a lot of people because they have multiple people on the hook at any one time. Whether that's someone they just met across the globe, if they live in a certain part of the world, then they're talking to someone on the phone. That person speaks another language and they don't even know how to speak that language. So what do? They go on their phone and then they're translating, right, on their phone, and they don't know how to speak that language. And then they leave that person on the hook. They say, I'll call you back in that language. And then they go and speak to you on the phone, in English when you're speaking to them, or whatever language. And then they leave you on the hook, and then they go on to the next person and the next person and the next person. They need to have multiple people on the hook at any one time. Why is that? Because narcissists, they're afraid of getting their image destroyed. They're afraid of being exposed, right? That's why they don't like taking accountability. That's why when it comes down to saying sorry, narcissists, it takes a village. And when I say a village, I actually mean that. I don't say that as an understatement. It takes a village to get a narcissist to apologize. Because if a narcissist apologizes, they think inside their mind that you're taking away their power from them, right? And they can't have that. They don't want to have you taking their power away from. They don't want to have you taking their power away from them because it makes them think that they're weak, right? And they don't want that. They can't think that another person is above them, because narcissists don't submit, right? Especially the female covert narcissists, they don't submit to anybody. They don't submit to their husbands. They don't submit to their parents. They don't submit to their boyfriends, right? They don't submit to anybody, right? Because they feel entitled, like they can do whatever they want and get away with anything that they want, right? So beware of that. The fact that narcissists, they don't like being accountable. That's the narcissist kryptonite. And I made a video called Accountability. If you're new to my channel, go watch that video. It's titled Accountability. And narcissists, they hate accountability because it hurts them. It hurts their ego. And it will give them a narcissistic injury if they have to be accountable, because they have to think back to the person that they cheated on when they were married, the person that they cheated on when they were in the relationship, the person that they told that they were going to be over here at one place, but then they were at another supplies place, having sex with them or just hanging out with them or doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing, right? So the narcissist has unfinished business with a lot of people. I remember when I was married to my ex-wife, who turned out to be a covert narcissist. I remember when she, close to the ending of the marriage, when she came over to me and she was like, "Babe, I need to talk to you." And I was like, "All right, go ahead, say what you have to say." And then she says, "I got in touch with one of my exes." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then I was like, "So what happened?" And then she said, "I needed closure." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then my response there was, "Did you get the closure?" And then her response was, and then she starts crying those fake tears and she says, "Yeah." And then I was like, "Okay." And then she says, "I don't think this is gonna work out. I think we should break up." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then but what I'm saying here is that the reason why I said that was because she still had unfinished business with her ex, making it, and then she was making me out and then she didn't want to, be accountable. Right. So what I'm saying here is that narcissists, and mind you, when she said that, and I'm sure that that's happened to more people and not just me. When she said that, what she was trying to do was trying to, twist the knife at me, making it seem like I was the bad guy. But then she wasn't actually getting closure from her ex. What she was actually doing was she was trying to hide behind the fact that she was actually cheating on me with her ex. But she was just saying it in a different way, without me figuring out that she actually cheated. So what I'm saying here, guys, is that the narcissists always have unfinished business, right? Whether it was even at work. Let's think about at work for a second. The narcissist at work. When you're at work, for example, right? You go to work to get your job done and go home, right? Well, at least that's what I hope. The narcissists, on the other hand, they have a lot of unfinished business with people at work, right? At work, they don't, the narcissists, they at work, when they're at work, what they're doing at work is they're not going to work to get their job done. What they're going to work to do is to disrupt people's lives, to drive wedges between coworkers. That new person the new employee on the block that turned out to be a narcissist, they're not going to work to go to work. What they're doing is trying to drive wedges between people because they're jealous and envious of the person who is really good at their job, and they want to steal that person's job from them. So what better way to go into another job and to say to someone's boss, "Oh, that person, they're not doing their job," or "That person, they were late yesterday," when really that person was on time. And then the boss pulls them into the office, and then that person has to explain themselves when really that person wasn't late. And then next thing you know, that person's probably getting written up. And then the narcissist, they're getting supplied, they're getting energy from the fact that they've just destroyed another person's reputation in the job. And then that person is getting upset. And before you know it, they quit the job. And then before you know it, that job, they lose a very valuable employee. This happens every single day. It happens more times than you think about it. But the truth is that you don't see it happening, right? Because narcissists, they fly under cloak and dagger. They're like wolves in sheep's clothing. That's your religious narcissist in the church. The wolf in sheep's clothing that claims to be one person, but behind closed doors, they're a totally different person, right? Because that's what narcissists do. They fly under cloak and dagger like wolves in sheep's clothing, right? Think about your narcissistic sibling. Let's say that your sibling turns out to be the narcissist, right? And they have unfinished business with you, right? Let's say that let's say that they owe you money, let's say, right? And then let's say that you're trying to, your sibling who turns out to be a narcissist says, "I will pay you back this amount of money," right? And then the day comes and they're nowhere to be found. You're reaching out to them, you're calling them, and they're not answering their phone, right? And you're trying to figure out what the hell's going on here. And then you try to hold them accountable and say, you said you owe me money, you know that, right? And today you said you were going to pay me back. And then they say, no, I don't owe you money. And then now they're gaslighting you, and they're trying to not, they don't want to be held accountable, right? And now they're trying to deflect onto you, and then you're just like, no, you owe me money. And then you say sorry, because this is what happens. And I try to talk this to people. What happens when you say, when you try to get the narcissist to be accountable, 90% of the time is you're going to be the one that ends up apologizing, because they don't want to be held accountable, because that's in the narcissist nature. So narcissists, they have unfinished business with a lot of people. And the truth is that you never see it, because they don't want you to know about it. Because if they let you know about it, then that means that they're giving away power. But you don't think that way, though. You don't think that you don't want to have power over anybody, right? You just want to live your life and do what makes you happy. At least that's what I hope, if you're an empath. But what I'm saying is that that's not how narcissists see things. They see everything as a game. They see it that they need to win. They always want to be on top of everybody, but they don't want to do anything to be on top, because they think that they're better than everybody else, when in reality they're not. They copycat other people. They mimic other people. They mirror. I made a video called Mirror, Mirror on the Wall. If you're new to my channel, go watch that video. Narcissists need to mirror back to you, right, who you are. So they regurgitate your words. They have no creativity. They're not creative at all. They don't have a creative mind. That's why they need to take from people. They need to steal people's words, steal people's sentences. That's why many times when you're trying to get the narcissist's thoughts on something or a subject, they say, I don't know. And they'll always say, one of the narcissist's favorite things to say is, I don't know. I don't know what to say to that. That's all they can say, because they don't have any creativity, because they steal from people, right? They're too busy stealing from people that they don't get a chance to come up with their own ideas, right? So you have to understand, narcissists have a lot of unfinished business. When you are married to the narcissist, whether you are married to your husband or your wife and they turned out to be a narcissist and they just discarded you like that, they had unfinished business with their ex-boyfriend or ex-girlfriend or whomever else, whether it was a sibling or a parent. They always have unfinished business. That's why they're always on the go. That's why they're always doing something, right? Because they don't want to be held accountable. They don't want to be figured out. They don't want to be caught. Think of a criminal for a second. When you think of a criminal, when they go around stealing and manipulating, right? When they steal from people, they do it in such a way that so that they don't get caught, right? But sooner or later, all these criminals, they always end up getting caught, right? So when they do this so that they don't get caught. So you have to keep in mind, when it comes down to narcissists, they're always going around and around and around and around. They're always going. But someone's going to ask me, how do narcissists always keep it up? How do they always keep going? Well, it's because what they do, believe it or not, is they take a lot of drugs. A lot of narcissists are drug addicts. But the truth is, again, they will not tell you this stuff, because if they were to tell you that, then they know that you would be onto their game. Narcissists, they don't like when anybody knows who they are. That's why they always fly under cloak and dagger. That's why they're wolves in sheep's clothing, because they don't like when people figure out their game. So just know, and this should give you a little bit of relief, knowing that it wasn't your fault at all, that narcissists have unfinished business with everybody, right? They may even have unfinished business with you. I can't tell you that. If you didn't block them and delete them and go no contact with them and stop talking to everybody who's in contact with them or who steps away from them, if you haven't done that, then you can trust and believe that they have unfinished business with you, because they will always leave everything open, because they're also hoarders. That's another thing narcissists are. They're hoarders. They like to hold on to things, hold on to relationships that they've broken. That's why they hoover people at later dates. And what's a hoover for those who are new to my channel? A hoover is when the narcissist calls you from fake numbers or fake accounts, or makes fake Facebook accounts, and they try to reach out to you and say things like, how are you, or hi, or what's up, or Do you want to go to the store and hang out? They'll send something random. It doesn't have to be any of those things I just mentioned, but they'll say something random, and then you'll try to figure out why am I getting these messages? And sometimes it happens all at once. They'll send it through a fake Facebook account, a fake email. They'll send fake mail, and then they'll say, "I left something at your house. Could you?" Or they'll say, "Can you drop off? My pillowcase?" And you're scratching out like, what? Why is this person messaging me? Well, they're doing that because they want to see if you figured out that they're a narcissist, or they also want to see if you healed, if you're going to give them a second chance, if you're going to actually open communication again and talk with them again. That's what they want to see, right? Because narcissists are cowards. They're full of nonsense. They're retarded. They have no creativity. So they need to steal from people, right? So understand, guys, narcissists, they always have unfinished business. In order for the narcissist to not have unfinished business with you, you need to go no contact. You need to get them out of your life ASAP, as soon as possible, right? You need to leave these people alone, right? Because if you don't leave them alone, they won't leave you alone. I'm going to say that again. Whew. If you don't leave them alone, they will not leave you alone. It's almost like, think about an animal. And I love animals, right? Animals are, God created animals, right? And I have respect for animals, for nature, right? What I'm saying, so think of animals for a moment. If you see a geese outside, for example, and you go and bother that geese, guess what's going to happen? They're going to come after you as well. It's the same. It's the same illustration here. If you leave the geese alone, they're 99.9% of the time they will leave you alone and have nothing to do with you. Same with the narcissist. If you leave the narcissist alone, they will not want anything to do with you if you leave them alone, right? If you leave them alone, they won't want anything to do with you. If you block them, delete them, go no contact, leave them alone, they won't want nothing to do with you, because then they know that they can't get to you. Then they know that that you won't they won't get anything from you, right? That's when they go off to another supply or multiple supplies. Sorry, there are multiple supply sources, and they will try to get from them, because most likely those people haven't healed. They haven't figured out that the narcissist is a narcissist, or they think that the narcissist will change, or it's either one of those people, right? But you're not like that. You're different, because you're watching my video, and thank you for being here. So that's how you make it so that the narcissist doesn't have unfinished business with you, right? So I just want you guys to understand that piece. It's really important, all right? So thank you so much for being here today on Narcissism 101, Cracking the Code with me, Paul Wisdom. Like I said, if you wanna talk, if you wanna vent, please email me at paul.wisdom_03@hotmail.com. If you want to call, if you want to vent, if you need help, please reach out, 647-406-3057. Just text that number before if you want to call and let me know that's you and you need help with your narcissistic experience. I'd be more than happy to help you out. I've helped out so many other people, and they're also getting help. They're understanding narcissism a lot better. And I really appreciate you all being here on my 107th video. And look forward to seeing you on the next video. Thank you so much for being here. And until next time, thank you.